Every day he said the D word, every single day. My guess Jennifer's husband wasn't just distant or checked out. He was threatening divorce daily. She'd already tried couples counseling. She'd tried leaving for the night. And she'd tried giving ultimatums. Nothing worked. And she wasn't willing to end her marriage. So she just sat there shooting daggers with her eyes with no idea what to do next. Real wives, real marriage transformations. This is the Empowered Wife podcast. Can a marriage that's that far gone really ever turn around? And if it can, what does it actually take when you've already tried everything? Jennifer is going to tell us her story. Stay till the end for the Try It Tonight takeaway. Jennifer, welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast. So great to have you here. I want to know how you knew your husband was the one. Like, what attracted you to him?
Yes. Well, Laura, my husband is the first person I ever dated. Someone I felt like I could respect, which I hadn't really felt with other guys before. We met on a mountain. During my spring break of my last year of college, I went out to California and visited a brother who lived there. I was looking at what grad schools I wanted to go to, and I checked out a seminary over there. And my brother had planned a hike with his friend. And so we went on this hike up the mountain, and it was my future husband. So we just already had, big things in sight with that. That said, he went home and started telling his friends about me, and she's got this great family dynamic. She's a Christian. She's really into these things. And when I went home, I wasn't thinking about him. I was still kind of hung up on some other person I had been thinking about. But a few months later, when I did decide to move out that direction, the first time we re-met at at our church, we went to the young adult group together in the evening, and he kind of made me have a bit of a head tilt. Like, he has such great questions, and he volunteered to pray at the end. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And immediately after the study, he made a beeline to me and started engaging me in conversation. And I was like, wow, this is nice. And he was really smart and was talking to me about these philosophical thoughts and choral music and poems. And I was like, wow, this is cool. So he started emailing me, and we just started from there. And wow, yeah, I mean, he was bold. He was set to pursue me. Within weeks, he was sending me his own poems that he'd written for me. And I was just like blown away. Like, this guy is amazing. And he sent me a Bible verse, Isaiah 43:19. I'm about to do new things. I'm about to put rivers in the dry wasteland. And he's like, this is an applicable verse for us. It was just such like a bold way of pursuing me. I mean, wow. So a month after we had re-met and I had moved out, he asked me to be his girlfriend at the county fair.
So then you got married, and when did things start to feel like they weren't going as well as you'd planned?
Yeah, well, Laura, I would have to say before we got married, things already looked a little iffy. I started to kind of settle down and be like, well, I'm the one who has a man, and obviously I need to fix him up to marry him because that's what women do. There were red flags, and words I used to describe would be emotionally destructive. And the most painful thing, Laura, was I brought all these things to some wise women who were in my life at the time. And all of them said, Jennifer, you can't go forward with this relationship. You know that. You can't do it. And so that was just so painful because I had already, given my heart into this relationship. I wanted it to work with this man. And I just thought, no, there has to be a way. And so
Oh.
we kept going. It was rocky. We dated 3 years while we were both in school, long distance, just saw each other on the weekends. But both of us just wanted it to work with each other. So we had our ups and downs, but we got engaged on the same mountain where we met. So another mountaintop experience. And I mean, yeah, it was just like the hard times would come and then something, would just be amazing together. And like, yes, I want this relationship. I want this man. Like he is the one. And so, yeah, we moved forward. We did get married after 3 years of dating, after we'd both graduated. We did go to premarital counseling. And then we went back again after we were married to see the counselor we liked. And what really broke that experience was the counselor started taking sides and kind of deciding who was the problem.
So so was there a moment, I mean, especially when this marriage counseling's not going well and you stop going, it sounds like. What did you were you feeling yeah, were you thinking like maybe this marriage won't last?
Yeah, I did get to that point. So I want to bring out like one kind of typical argument we would have during those bad days would would be over dinner. So all the context of this early years together, um, about a year and a half, 2 years into being married, I had our first child. I was home, and it was just after COVID. So, and I was living in a part of the country I hadn't lived before. I didn't have any family friends, anything, community, like a church that we were totally connected with. Like none of that was there, and I couldn't build it because it was end of COVID time. Things were closed, and so what had been working with people all the time. I'm quite social, and all of a sudden, I was at home with a newborn who was very high need, who wouldn't sleep at night. I had to rock him through the night, most nights, hold him during the day. There was just one room that was air conditioned. So I was just sitting there with this, like, just very crying, screaming child by myself where there was just no support for me. So I was at a very low point in myself at that time. Like had
That sounds
nothing to
awful.
give to anyone. I was overwhelmed by all that experience. And at the same time, my husband was working really hard. He would leave early in the morning. He had two jobs he was juggling. He was trying to get in the job market in a different field than he had graduated in and just grow and provide for his family. And he would be out Saturdays a lot working. And so he was not around at all. And so even, so I was very needy and he was just not present. And I thought parenting would be this thing that we would do together. And it wasn't. It was all on me. And it was too much. It was way too much. So within that whole context, he would come home every evening. So this was kind of like our standard argument, our dance, and say, like, what's for dinner? And expect some wonderful meal. And I would have been carrying the child the whole time, didn't know about any kind of ring sling or baby carrying device. Like no one told me. So I have one hand and I've been stuck in the room all day. I'm just like, what are you talking about? What's for dinner? He's like, you've been home all day. What's for dinner? Of course.
It sounds really hard and heavy, painful, lonely.
It, it was. And then that wasn't my lowest point yet. So, yeah, things went from that heated time to something that was very cold. And that was something new and scary to me. So I had been going down the conventional wisdom approach of um give counseling, give ultimatums. He's the problem. He's an angry man. He needs to control himself. You need to get him to shape up, or you're not a self-respecting woman. It felt like a lot of pressure was being put on me to change him, to make this relationship better, but through changing him. And so finally I did give him an ultimatum. Um, Not in words, but in action. I left the house for the night. I went to stay at a couple from church who we knew, who loved us both. And when I came back, Laura, the power had shifted in the relationship. That's the biggest way I could say it. Like, it just felt like now I'm the man. Now I'm the one who's in charge, and he feels no power or no, like, he totally started checking out after that. He was like, okay, I see that you can leave, and I'm not going to yell at you. But then, then we just didn't interact at all. We weren't in the same room together. We didn't look at each other. He was already gone so much, but there was no reason for him to want to be home. And Laura, I was so resentful. I just shot daggers at him with my eyes. I mean, who would want to be around that? So obviously that didn't work to give me the intimacy I wanted. And I wasn't willing to go further down the path because I didn't want it to end in divorce. I didn't like the path of conventional wisdom would be separation and then divorce. And I wasn't willing to go there. I wanted it to work with this man. And so I just sat there in that place of cold and bitterness and just like, well, where do we go from here? I don't know if there's a way, but we're kind of at a stalemate here. So that was my low.
Terrifying. Scary. Wow. So was that the darkest moment?
The cold times were the darkest moment. And I will say, too, in that coldness, this part of the scariness was that that word did get thrown around a lot. And it was like, if I was shooting daggers with my eyes, he was shooting daggers with that word. And I mean, yeah, where would we go from there?
So he was bringing it up in arguments, like, why don't we just get divorced?
Yeah, almost every day. Mhm.
Oh, oh, and you were not.
Yeah, you made me remember that, Laura. That was the hard thing. Yeah. No, no. I think I mean, of course, he knows where my soft spot was, right? So that's where he would go. Mhm.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you say the power shifted when you left. It's like, okay, you can leave, but really, this is uh, there's another power shift here with him bringing out
Mhm.
the word divorce, the D word, and you not being
Yeah.
willing, like you're never going to go there, which
Mhm.
I actually admire very much, because you're in excruciating pain and fear, and you're still not reaching for the exit. Oh, so well, what happened?
Well, well, it took time, but before I found you, God was working in my heart. I had such bitterness and resentment, like I said. And um there was a Sunday I went to church and I heard the sermon, and it was about forgiveness. And I cried during that service. Just other people next to me, I was just crying. And I went up for prayer after, and my heart was starting to soften. But that day I went for a walk, and I was just asking God, like, where do I go from here? I heard about this forgiveness. I can't forgive him. Help me. And I saw this image of these rocks piled all the way up to heaven. And I thought, yeah, that's how I feel about all of his wrongs towards me. They just go and go and go and go, like so many. And then I just thought how silly that I would ever think he could make that up to me. That is too big. And there, there were a couple thoughts I had in a row. Like, he can't pay that back. And then the next thought was, Christ already took the punishment for all of that. And it was so powerful for me to just see it disappear. And I had felt such burden on that walk, just heaviness. I can't get rid of this, God. And I felt such a lightness, just like I could walk, like I could breathe, like the sun was shining. And I went home a changed woman. I really stopped holding things against him. I just felt every day was a new day. And whatever he did against me, I don't need to hold on to it. And that was before I met you. It was all preparing for the next step to get to the point where I would look at myself. But he just took that bitterness away. And I just started seeing my hurting husband, who was sad and cold and lonely himself. I just saw him and wasn't afraid or bitter about it. And so that was so big. And then I don't remember all the timeline, but soon it was my birthday. And my husband asked me, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" And he's so giving still all this time. And so I said, "Well, I would like to go to the beach, of course, and I'd want to have brunch." And so we got in our date car, we drove out to the beach, had a nice brunch, had a walk on the beach. All this time, Laura, we're not talking really. We're just next to each other, calm, but kind of like, not close. Yeah. And on the beach, looking out over the ocean, he just started sharing his heart with me and telling me what was going on in his life and kind of the struggles he was having. And I just heard him and I just listened. And then we got up and we got to the car. And another thing our pastor had recently challenged us to do was to ask people who really know you and say, "What's something that I could change or work on in my life?" And Laura, I was at a point I was willing to listen. And so I bravely asked him in the car, "Sam, what is something I need to work on and I need to change?" And he's like, "I'm not going to say it." I'm like, "No, really, like, I want to listen. I want to hear from you." And he said submission. He said submission. I thought, okay, the Bible uses this word for wives. What is it teaching that's real that I'm not doing? And so I looked up on Google in the phone. I said, "Christian wife submission" on Google. Would you believe your book, The Surrendered Wife, came up? Somehow in my algorithm, The Surrendered Wife. And wow, I mean, God put it there. God sent you to me. And so I just saw the word surrendered. And I said, wow, that feels really good in my soul. Submit. I don't like the word. It has too many connotations. Surrender. That feels like something I choose. That feels like something kind of in line, but at the same time just like empowering, beautiful, attractive. And so, yeah, that's when I saw your book, got home, listened to the short version. What really got me with that one was the woman who said, "Daddy is an angry man. Daddy's an angry man." And then one day she just turned it around and said, "You're not an angry man." And the little boy was next to her and said, "No, Daddy is an angry man." She goes, "You're not an angry man." And he goes, "I'm not an angry man." So in the short version of your book, that really caught me. I'm like, what? This woman's onto something. And so, yeah, from there, I got your full book. I read it page by page, just slowly over a month. I had small moments where I was holding our child for nap and I could either take a nap or read a couple pages of your book. And it was like I needed both, but I needed a couple pages of your book. And so, yeah, I loved reading it that way, looking back, because every page I could just apply it right away. Like, Laura, you were in my house. You saw me. You put a mirror to my face. And it was ugly. I will say it was an ugly reflection. But it was so beautiful because it meant I could do something, that there was something wrong with me that I could work on, that I could grow in, that I could change to change the dynamic that I was clearly doing that was causing a negative dynamic. And so that was my experience reading your book. Just like, yes, this is it. This is the answer. Laura says I can stay with the man I love and I had good reasons for marrying him. And it was so encouraging. It was so encouraging.
Oh, so that's so moving because that you sound so hopeful and inspired, and I hear the how painful it was too, in a way that there was a mirror and it was ugly. You say, but it's like what an incredible moment. You had to be very open. This is so vulnerable because he said, I'm not going to say it, and then he said submission, and you're like, all right. I'm taking this on. What did you start doing differently than what you had been doing?
Yes. Well, reading your book over that month, I really had a heart change. A couple, like 2 months later, I joined Ridiculously Happy Wives. And that was so amazing. That's really where I started to see more behavior change. Listen to the calls, hear how women were putting these skills into practice day by day, and hearing their stories, getting inspired by them. Like it was the behavior started to change. So I joined RHW the week of our anniversary in July. The one big thing I changed was gratitude. I started sending my husband gratitude texts 3 a day, and he responded, why are you sending me so many nice texts? Yes, I felt very vulnerable to say kind things to my husband. I couldn't think of anything kind. It was hard to think of anything to say. But I felt really proud of myself once I sent it, and texting it was easier than saying it.
So, what did you? It was hard to think of anything, but you came up with three. Do you remember what you started thanking him for?
Oh, I mean, the simple stuff. Thank you for going to work and working so hard. Um, Thank you for driving through LA traffic for me. Like, kind of just what he's doing day to day. Thank you for coming home earlier last night. You know, just whatever thing I could think of. Yes, so the gratitude was really cool. Like, it gave me a really early win, which was super encouraging. So that week was our anniversary. I said I would love to go out and have a date. I just relinquished control. I just was at home, got my self-care. She came home late and I wasn't bitter about it. And then on that Friday, he did take me out. I think we're gonna just go to Chick-fil-A. I was like, I get to choose. Like, whatever you think. And he kind of looked at me sideways, smiled. And then Laura, he took me to the nicest dinner I'd ever had, like a steak dinner, all the nice things, fancy place. Afterwards, there was an artisan market. That's what I love. We walked through that. After that, he's like, what store do you want to go to? Here's some cash. We'll go together and shop. And so he was just pouring on.
So, it sounds like you felt like the skills were working.
Yeah, yes, the skills were working. Another one was I wouldn't say anything negative, kind of just made a pact with myself. I won't say anything negative around my husband. And I found out that I only said negative things around my husband. And it was really revealing for myself. I was just quiet for a while, along with the gratitude too, something that worked really great. He didn't really love the texts. What I started doing was writing them down in a journal and then just leaving it in our shared bathroom. And I knew it was working because if I hadn't for a day or two, he would tell me that journal is looking a little empty. So I was like, oh, he's reading it. Great. I'll keep writing it there. So the gratitude,
Oh,
it was my biggest skill in terms of changing myself because I learned I had been quite negative and complaining. And I learned that I could always find something good about every day if I just looked, and I could turn negative things into positive things. It was so empowering. And it made me start seeing good things about my husband because I had only been focused on his negative. Like I just didn't see. And so the more I practiced that skill, the more it became a habit. And the more I saw he is a good man. He's a good man. He cares about me. He's coming back to me. Um, he's a great father. Another thing I stopped doing was asking questions because
yeah.
questions felt controlling, maybe. When are you going to be home? And I finally just disconnected from it and said, no, that's fine. Whenever he gets home is okay. I'll just have dinner, stay warm. I deleted the ability to see where his iPhone was.
You deleted the ability to track your husband's whereabouts on your phone.
Mhm.
Oh my god. Okay, love that. Alright, and you stopped asking. You're not asking and you're not tracking, and whatever time he would come home, you were okay with it. I
Mhm.
mean, didn't you get a little mad, like, if he was really coming home late and you couldn't have your vision was to have that family dinner. You didn't get mad?
Mhm. I mean, and I made
So
it all about
what
me. Around that dinner topic, when I really started to change, when I became this different person, um, it just became about me. Like, well, what do I want for dinner? And how do I feel about this food that I'm making? And how do I think that it tastes? And so I started like tasting the food while I was cooking instead of just following the recipe and just checking in with myself. Like, do I feel like a simple meal tonight or do I want to just go bigger? When we sat down, and if there were criticisms like it's not salty enough or it needs this flavor or that flavor, I just say, I hear you. And I wasn't in a state of fear anymore because I already knew, like, I'm good with this. I'm okay with what I put out. And I even found out I enjoy cooking.
so how did he respond to this? Like, you don't ask questions, you don't say negative things, you are serving dinners that are, like, to your liking, but I can imagine there's just a total shift around that, like, how did he respond?
Yeah. Well, honestly, with just at first over, I mean, it took time. I really want to say it took time. So, um, he responded with a lot of like distrust and just not sure like what's going on. So for instance, one of my hardest skills was apologies for being disrespectful, which, like you say, it feels like gravel in your mouth. You just got to say it because it's showing that I want to respect him, and it's showing that I want to be dignified. So I would say my apology, and he would always come back with some bait. And so one time we were in the car, I apologized for being disrespectful for something. And Laura, he said, yeah, you're such a bee sometimes. Like the bad word. And I like he knew my buttons. Like I just don't like any language. And so I was sitting there like, oh, like I could be so offended. But that morning I'd heard a coaching and it had inspired me to try something new. And so I thought, okay, I have options here. I could be very offended or I could try something new. And I chose to be Goffle. And I said, yeah, I'm your bee. And he looked at me and he smiled and he took my hand and the intimacy just had no break in it. Like it was just fine. And but
Yeah.
some other ways he responded to these yeah, like I relinquished control of the finances right away. And he said, I don't know why you're doing this, but I'm good with it. He took over the finances. He gave me less than half of what I asked for, which felt like a small amount. And, and I just had to relinquish control. I was like, "I wanna go on weekly date nights," and he just went ahead with that.
I wanna
Oh,
talk about the
yeah.
smile campaign for just a second, 'cause every time you saw him, you would smile. Like, every time?
Yes, every time. Yeah, he'd walk into the room, I would turn and I would smile, and if he didn't look at me, that was fine. I had done my part. I had turned and I had smiled.
So it sounds like sometimes he didn't even look at you, but you were doing it
Yeah.
anyway. Did it get you a different result?
Oh, of course. Yes, because I wasn't shooting daggers at him with my eyes anymore. So if he saw me, if he made eye contact, he might come over and give me a hug or yeah, just, "Hey, how are you doing?" You know? It would
Well,
just be so much more engaging.
alright, so it sounds like things are not cold like they were at your house
Hmm.
now.
Laura, looking back, I do see all the wins. He was so distrustful of this change in me. He was not gonna just jump in and say like, "Oh, Jennifer's this different woman, like, great. Let's go with that." He was hurt, and it took time to build the trust. It felt like that I don't know if I'll ever get that, but we were at neutral. It felt like we were at neutral. Yeah, we got from cold to neutral, and then it felt like a long time warming from there.
How did you get through that? Like, were you ever tempted to just give up? Like, I tried that, but didn't really get me what I wanted.
Yeah, there were on the other hand, at that point, I started to realize this was all about me. And so that's where, like, the self-care wins come in. I started trying everything, like, I made that list of 20 immediately, and then I just started just trying different things. I really leaned on my mother-in-law for childcare. I would go up to the mountain and take a hike by myself. I would, um, just go to the backyard. We had this beautiful backyard where the sun would shine, and I would just, um, let that on my face. Like, I joined some mom groups. That was so fulfilling, like, just to have those other women who were in the same boat as me and spend time with them. One time, I took out our nice date car by myself around my birthday and just took myself out for my birthday. So I went to a restaurant. I got a nice one of those cookies, those big cookies that they serve, a glass of wine, and Laura, I had your book, Things Will Get as Good as You Can Stand. Pulled that out of my purse and I just started having the time of my life. And a waiter came by, was like, "What are you reading? You seem like you're having a great time." And I'm like, "I am having a great time. I'm learning about taking care of myself." And so I just tried everything, and a lot of things worked, and they made me really happy.
Tell me a little bit about how this has impacted your kids. You have, I think, 2 boys, right?
Mhm. I have 2 boys already, and we'll have another baby in July. So, I mean, we're just having the kids. We are adding to the household. It's totally my dream. So, yes.
Awesome. That is
Um,
awesome.
yeah. Oh, man. The way it's impacted my family, it has been so motivating to me because our little child, our first one, he would hear the loud, and it was just so not what I wanted for him. Yeah, being able to give my children a role model of what a respectful wife looks like, especially their sons, they're my sons, being able to give them, um, yeah, a stable home where they feel like mom and dad love each other, and there's no possibility that they wouldn't just be together forever. Feels amazing that I can give them that. Like, they'll never be afraid that their fundamental structure they're growing up with, isn't intact. Like, it's intact, it's firm, it's strong, and they get to grow up feeling internally peaceful because there's just a peaceful home that they live in. certainly changing the dynamic in my home, for my children. Oh, it has really been so motivating and so beautiful to see.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a beautiful change in your family. And I can just imagine, like, what mom doesn't want that to be able to give her kids that solid home life. Does your husband ever throw around the word divorce anymore?
No, definitely not. Yes, that's been a huge change, a wonderful change. Yeah. No, there's no risk of that. I feel so secure. Like we dream about the future. I know we're going to get old together. Like there's no way that's ever coming on the table again. Hmm.
Wow, I love that. And I love that for your babies. Jennifer, you are so skilled. You sound like like an A plus skills girl. I'm just wondering, what would your tip be to somebody who is where you were, where it's cold, it's distant, there's threats of divorce, and she feels really resentful, and it's like a pile of stones to the sky of resentment, and that and she feels kind of abandoned, like he's not there. He's always somewhere else. He's always working, and she's alone with the baby. And she wants what you have now, where he plays with the kids and he makes lunch and he takes you on date nights and he moves you to your dream house. And he's, part of a solid family that you are providing for your children. Like, what should she do? What's your biggest tip? What's your best tip for her?
Yeah. Well, she should invest in learning the intimacy skills. She should know, like, hope certainly is possible. From my experience, I really believe any woman can make it work with any man if she has the skills. They are just wisdom principles. This is how relationships work great. And yeah, she can do it. She can do it on her own. Um, there's no place that's too dark, I think. There's really no, I mean, I've just heard it all. Like, this is my story. There's so many stories. Like, there's just no place that's too dark to where you can't turn it around.
What would you say to Jennifer if you could go back and tell her what you know now?
I would say God's sending you some real wisdom. Listen to it and grow. And there's something about you that can change. There's something about you. Yeah. There's something about you. And that's a good thing. It was so humbling. And yeah, it's just made me have so much more compassion for people in general. Like I was saying, judgy. Like I'm less judgy because I found compassion for myself. And like I don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect to make progress. You can change everything. Just rely on, trust in this path. This is the way forward. Yeah.
Well, I love that. And I want to acknowledge and celebrate you on this victory lap and give you the Best Wife Award. You have done so much. You are such an inspiration. You have transformed yourself. You have been so humble and so hardworking. Such a A+ student with not taking bait, like saying, he says, you're such a B. And you say, yeah, I'm your B, and make it into a playful moment, or have him like turn on the lights and be stomping around, packing his suitcase. And you have stayed calm and just shown, you've brought peace. Like, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. And that's you, Jennifer. Congratulations.
Thank you, Laura. I don't regret any moment because I feel this feeling, this lightness, this hope that I have for the future. It shines in me so much greater because of where I came from. And I'm so grateful for the whole journey. I'm so grateful that you've shared the skills with women. I just love it. I love this life I have.
Gosh, well, I'm so grateful we found each other, Jennifer, and then we get to lift each other up, while we're lifting up the world as coaches, and paying forward what we've learned. And I just can't thank you enough for sharing your whole story with us so beautifully today.
Thank you, Laura.
So here's a takeaway Jennifer used to transform her relationship that you can try tonight: the smile campaign. When things were cold and distant at Jennifer's house, she made herself a simple promise. Every time her husband walked into the room, she would turn toward him and smile. That's it. Just turn and smile. Even if he didn't look at her, even if he walked right past her, she did her part and she let him do whatever he was going to do. And did you hear what happened? He came over and gave her a hug. A hug. He'd stop and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" The daggers were gone. And what filled that space was something irresistible. So tonight, I invite you to experiment with a smile campaign. Every time your husband comes into the room, whether he's coming through the front door, walking into the kitchen, or just passing you in the hallway, turn toward him and smile. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to have a conversation. Just smile and then let him do whatever he does. Because here's the thing: you can't shoot daggers and smile at the same time. And what you put into that room is what fills it. If you want to try this experiment alongside thousands of other women this week, including my certified relationship coaches, come join us in the Adored Wife community at adoredwife.com. Now, this takes some courage, especially if things feel cold right now, but you can do it tonight. Are you ready to try the smile campaign? Okay, then go, go, go.